To start off Final Fantasy month, I wanted to pick a topic that is essential to any game, but RPGs especially, the boss battles. Now this won't be a list about the best boss battles in all Final Fantasy history. These are merely some of my all-time favorite boss battles that I went through and keep me coming back for more. The rules are the same as usual, one pick per game and only from titles I've played, except for one entry, because I was having a really hard time trying to include just one boss per game. Oh, and this time around I'm adding one extra rule: no final bosses. I consider final bosses to be on a league of their own, therefore it wouldn't be fair to include them. Besides, this list would be nothing but final boss battles if I didn't exclude them. Now that that's been taken care of, I'd like to officially begin Final Fantasy month. I hope you guys enjoy. When I think about bosses from Final Fantasy IX, there are a few that immediately pop into my head. Kuja and Garland are some of these bosses, but being the main antagonists, that's to be expected. In all honesty, I think Final Fantasy IX is the sole game where I like all bosses equally, even if for different reasons. But the very first boss that comes to my mind when I think of Final Fantasy IX is indisputably the Black Waltz. I love these guys. Yes, guys, plural. There are 3 of them. And I love them because of 3 aspects. 1, their origin. 2, the fight you have with them. And 3, the menacing look about them. These black mages were manufactured by Zordon and Thorn. That's right, people. These guys came out of an assembly line. And they are many times more powerful than a regular black mage, since they contain large amounts of magic power. The catch is that, for all that power, their lifespan is immensely diminished, and they become more violent in nature. The fight with them is pure awesome, as all that magic power isn't just for show, and keeps you on the edge of your seat trying not to die. As for their looks, well, you look at that thing in the eye and tell me if it doesn't look like something that could fuck you up if you so much as look at it weird. These guys don't just look threatening, they are threatening. They look like the evil bastards that would kick your ass, piss on your corpse, cremate you, and then piss on your ashes again because they weren't finished tormenting your dead ass the first time around. And if that wasn't enough, they might just kick your dog too, just for the fun of it. And people complain about Ozma. Pfft, walk into a dark alley at night with one of these guys in there and see what happens to you. I fucking love Diablos. Fighting Diablos is the single most anticipated battle I look forward to the most whenever I pop in my copy of Final Fantasy VIII. I just love everything about this guy. A demon-type guardian force that specializes in gravity magic and has one of the most bitchin' summon attack in the entire game. Holy Gravija. He is so freaking awesome. I even have the coolest figurine of Diablos. And your fight with them? Sweet? Jesus! Besides spamming an onslaught of gravity magic, which halves your HP to 1/4 or half, his physical attacks are practically one-hit KOs. I tried to get this bastard as early as possible, but for the love of Gilgamesh, he's got to be the hardest optional boss you can face right at the beginning of the game. Be it as an enemy or as an ally, this Guardian Force will wreck shit up.
But wait! There's more!
When properly trained, he can be the very first Guardian Force in your party to reach the max damage limit. And very early on, no less. Besides, Diablos especially comes very much in handy for the Tomberry side quest. Not only is Diablos a challenge to be had, but for his usefulness in combat, he deserves to be at number 9. If there's something I love in any RPG, is the already worn out but always welcome trope of the dragons. I love dragons, and the Final Fantasy franchise has always made every species or subspecies of dragons and their varying reincarnations a sight to behold and wonder, let alone their fights you have with these beautiful creatures of myth. Even in their least successful titles, Squeenix never failed to impress when it came to these reptilian behemoths. I'm well aware that most dragons are usually random enemies scattered throughout the different worlds of Final Fantasy, but when I get to fight one of these as bosses, woo-wee! I just get a sudden rush of excitement. I'd also like to give a specific example of what it is I mean. Look at cases like the 8 elemental dragons from Final Fantasy VI, or Bahamut and Tiamat from Final Fantasy VIII, the Nova Dragon from 9, or even the Elder Worm from Final Fantasy XII. Everyone out there who's ever faced these dragons knows they're no pushovers. Bahamut and the Elder Worm especially. It was really hard to decide between just one dragon to put in this spot, so instead I just decided to include all dragon bosses, just for being epic. But for the life of me, both Yzmat and the Hellworm can go fuck themselves in the with the on a Sunday ice cream sideways while on a pogo stick. Fuck. Okay, I'm gonna be straightforward here. Rubicante is only here because he's an awesome villain. Being honorable is something most villains just can't do right, but Rubicante, he's pretty good. Despite him being a villain, he's pretty honest about his intentions. He doesn't run, or hide, or scheme behind your back, or scurry around, or even gang up on you like the other members of the 4 Archfiends. All he wants is a one-on-one fight with you at your peak, and he even heals your party before the battle. Plus, the dude is a pyromancer, and pyromancers are freaking cool. Indeed, worthy of the title of the Autarch of Flame. Final Fantasy X-2. A lackluster, steaming pile of horse manure. This is just a disappointing title that should have never seen the light of day. It is just one huge gaping mess. The side quests, the collectathons, the chocobo hunting, and that effing never-ending and monotonous secret dungeon. Ugh. And the bestiary. Ugh. In the vast abundance of recycled enemies, most of which were just palette swaps, there aren't many monsters in X-2 with a unique design. So whenever you see this massive thing, you immediately know you're going to have a difficult time. Angra Mainyu is a real beast of an optional boss. If the design of this guy isn't enough to sway you, then let me enlighten you about the battle. Angra Mainyu has 2 arms with unique abilities of their own. Torek is immune to magic attacks and likes to hit you with status effects, and Zarek is immune to physical attacks and likes to lower the party stats and MP. Oh, and this boss is at least smart enough not to cast Flare on someone that has Reflect on. What makes this fight so memorable is the perfect balanced difficulty. Normally, it's almost automatic to attack a boss with any extra limbs until they go down and then you focus your attacks on the real thing. And while that is the focus here, it feels so much more hectic because it feels like you're constantly fighting all 3 bosses at the same freaking time. And even if you die, it doesn't feel frustrating at all. It's just one of the most fun times I can remember having fighting a boss in Final Fantasy. It definitely is the most exhilarating fight in Final Fantasy X-2, that's for sure. Oh, and I didn't have a joke in this segment, right? Well, in that case, have this.
On the one hand, gold. On the other hand, painful, agonizing failure.
Cue the nostalgia bomb!
Aye! Now we fight!
Oh, hell yeah! Now we're talking! Gilgamesh, comic punchline and fan favorite. This guy is one of the coolest bosses in Final Fantasy history. but I'll only be mentioning his encounter from Final Fantasy XII, since I haven't played Final Fantasy V yet. And when I said Nostalgia Bomb, I meant it. Not only do you clash with Gilgamesh on the big bridge, with a reworked version of his team from Final Fantasy V, every so often he pulls out a cheap knockoff of a famous Final Fantasy sword, like the Brotherhood or the Gunblade. But the guy decides to flee the battle, making you chase after him for yet another fight. And the second encounter is much like the first, except this time around, he's much stronger, and you will be constantly bombarded with long chains of attacks and ailments. The fight against Gilgamesh isn't the most complex or the biggest challenge, though it's not easy by any means. It's exactly as it should be, a test of strength and character. It's a nostalgia bomb in every sense of the word. Now here's an underrated villain. None of that Sephiroth crap.
What did you say, nigga?
Shut up, Fantards, or you'll come to regret that. Seymour, Seymour, Seymour. It takes a special kind of man to commit patricide, especially when your dad's a well-respected and powerful political and religious figure. And then you come along, decide to kill him and take his mantle and start brewing a shitstorm. I love Seymour more as a villain than as a boss, but his constant presence for the better half of the game just influences my judgment on this one. Don't get me wrong, I hate his guts. I hate him as a person. He's deplorable, and his actions are unforgivable. But as a villain, I have to give credit where credit is due. Out of the 4 occasions where you fight him, it's a really hard pick to make. In your first encounter with him, he makes use of powerful magic as well as 2 annoying minions and anima no less. Then on his second and third fight, he takes it upon himself to pull a Han Solo and fight using more nefarious methods of combat, now trying to use status ailments. And in his last fight, which has an amazing theme, he uses some elemental spells that can be easily defended or reflected against. And he also likes to follow up with some Ultima spells or some dispels here and there. So I'm sticking by his third form, Seymour Flux. It offers the right amount of challenge, not being too easy but not overly or super difficult, having you adapting your strategies to a new, harder version of Seymour. And beating him is just oh so satisfying. Let me make one thing clear. I dislike Sephiroth. However, I don't hate him. Dissidia made a really good job of portraying him as a cool, cold, yet powerful baddie. What I can't stand is the effing Final Fantasy VII fanbase and the Sephitards. Why can't you people just accept that? No, Rusty, don't go down that road. Don't start a flame war you can't put out. Good thing I have a flame shield.
Sephitards, get your heads out of your own asses. Sephiroth isn't the greatest villain ever. He's lucky he has your mentally deranged fanbase drooling all over his L'Oreal shampooed hair. He's got his personality as a brick wall and a character death of paper. Not to mention, the real villains of Final Fantasy VII are Genova and Hojo. Sephiroth goes on and on about his points like clowns and how he's a puppet. But you know what? Sephi's the real tool here. There's nothing any touching about Hojo. Everyone mentions about Hojo.
But that's my opinion of him in Final Fantasy VII. In Crisis Core, however... Holy Bahamut riding chocobos! Now this is more like it. Now here's a Sephiroth I can respect. This Sephi feels like the Sephiroth we all deserved from the beginning. And the same applies for the boss fight with him. It can be difficult at first, but since he takes his sweet time to attack, just try to hit him hard and heal up when absolutely necessary. This battle feels like the prelude to the final battle with him in Final Fantasy VII. You know, the not at all disappointing final battle that can be won with one hit. If only it were as good as this one. Oh yeah. This this Motherfua is infamous for being one of the hardest and most challenging bosses in Final Fantasy history. No amount of simple training can assure you victory. No simple plan can get you to come out alive of this fight. The Omega weapon takes everything you got and then some, and still it might not be enough. When going to face one of these super bosses, you better bring your A game to the table. Nay, bring your A game. A battle plan laid out by Batman himself, a strategy guide, and freaking Chuck Norris, and your odds of winning might improve like 5%? This thing is called a super boss for a reason, you know? My favorite versions of the Omega weapon are the ones from Final Fantasy 8 and 10, seeing as they are the only ones I've ever managed to beat. And they also look pretty darn cool. Yeah, if anything, I love fighting the Omega weapon just for the simple, raw, unadulterated challenge. What can I say? I'm a masochist. I like it hard.
That's what she said.
Moving on. Time for the manliest entry ever! And what's the manliest manly thing to ever come your manly way?
Beer! Drink beer!
No! That's a close second though. But I'm talking about Jecht. More specifically, his final Aeon form. Remember what I said in the beginning? No final bosses, right? Well, technically Jecht isn't a final boss. He's already at the point of no return, but Yu Yevon is the final boss of Final Fantasy X. Jecht works more like a Segway boss, if you know what I mean. But god damn it, I love this fucking hulk of a monster. Not only is Jecht worthy to be a final boss, since he's definitely strong enough to be one, this battle is special because it's such a grand combination of a boss battle and a cinematic experience. Not only must you continuously fight Jecht and destroy his 2 pagodas, but also you must heal off the status effects inflicted upon you, petrification mostly. And once you've done enough damage, he'll pull out his massive, awesome sword from his bare chest and start causing massive damage to you, and delaying your turns in battle too. With the emotional swings throughout the last segment of the game, how fun the fight is and how amazing it is, this fight is definitely one of the most memorable fights in all the Final Fantasy series. And even in defeat, he remains as manly as ever, and welcomes his passing to the far plane in order for you to defeat Yu Yevon. I guess you could say he had no objections? Sorry about that, I just couldn't resist. Well, that's the first part of Final Fantasy Month. Hope you guys all liked it, and see y'all next time.